Okay, now today we are going to create the Rise of Skywalker edit, and this is really easy to create. So if you just follow along and do exactly what I do, you will create the same image. So everything is in the link down below if you want to download all these images. So just follow along and do exactly what I do. All right, before I start editing this, I want to show you this. I first made like this raw cut of all these images, so I don't have to waste time on cutting out the images that I don't want to use. So this is basically the composition that I want to use. I have like 4 layers here. I want to make the text here, up there, and here, probably something like this. So what I'm gonna do now is get rid of all these backgrounds, so I have a nice cut of everything. And instead of cutting out all the images that I'm going to use, I just made like this raw cut of these, and I'm gonna use these as the main subject. So first remove these backgrounds, and after that I'm gonna make the whole composition better. All right, that was probably the most boring part of editing, cutting out images. So I got rid of all these backgrounds, and what I'm gonna do now is first work on these two in the background. So I'm gonna disable Luke Skywalker here, and let's first create some floor here, so I can create some shadows. So I'm just gonna make something like this here. Then temporarily gonna use, and later on create the background and the sky and everything else. So it's better to create the sky at last, because that is something that you can easily change, and later on just try different stuff that works best. So let's work on these two. First thing I want to do is make sure these lightsabers are glowing. So let's start with this one. So let's create a new layer here, and I want to pick something red. And I'm just gonna make like this red line. Let's make sure this is a little bit harder. So something like this. And now I just rotate this and make it smaller. Let's drop the opacity here so you can see it better, and rotate it like that. Now I can just remove this part here. I don't want to have it in his face. Like that. And let's do some blur here, so we can create something like that. And now we can change the blend mode here. So basically I'm just going through all of these and see which one is best. I think this one is okay. So that's already nice. And now I want to do the same with her. Create a new layer and pick something from this blue here. And make a line again on a new layer. I want to make sure it's not the eraser tool, but just the normal brush. This can even be longer. And again, just drop the opacity so you can make sure it's like the same as this lightsaber, this line. Flip it around a little bit. Let's bring the opacity back up and add some blur to it. And let's see which blend mode we used here. This was screen, so I'm gonna use screen here also. And we can get rid of, can leave this one here, but a little bit less here. I think it's a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna drop the opacity slightly here. All right, this looks fine. Now we can work on the shadows. So I'm gonna create a new layer underneath her, and I'm gonna imagine the background has something with light behind them. So I'm gonna make sure lighting is here, somewhere here and here. So what I'm going to do now is make sure the shadows are going that way and that way. So let's start with her first. Just a soft round brush here, and make sure select something black. And drop the opacity and flow. So this is fine, and now I want to make something go that way. It doesn't look right first here because this is a really light floor. It's going to be a lot darker, so it doesn't really matter right now. I just want to have something there so it's not empty. So I'm just pressing here, brushing these parts darker. And let's do the same with Kylo here. I want to make sure these parts at his feet are darker, and the further you go away from it, it's lighter. So something like this. And make it big for these parts. It looks like a sketch now, but it's going to be a lot better when we have a real floor here instead of this gray area. So just brushing here. Oh, forgot to make separate layers here, but I'm going to leave it like this for now. So this is okay for now. Maybe a little bit more here underneath his feet, because that's the darkest area, and underneath her feet. You can probably don't even see this feet, so it's okay. All right, that's too much, so I'm gonna go back and just edit this. Okay, this is okay for now, and we can remove some parts here because there's nothing there. Maybe like that. And let's do a little bit more here and here. So just use the normal brush and just make like these lines of shadows, and just click a lot of times, and make sure you have the opacity and flow really low so you can just do it a couple of times. Okay, now let's see what we can do here now. This one don't need a shadow, so I'm gonna work on the reflection of this lightsaber. You can have a little bit more red here. So this layer, let's create a new layer here and pick something red. The one I have too bright because it's just a reflection, so I'm gonna use this, and we can create a clipping mask here so we only affect his layer. We can increase this again, and let's do some reflections here, and we can change this to either color or overlay or soft light. I think overlay looks nice here. This one already had a reflection, but I just want to make it a little bit more so it looks cooler. And let's do the same with her. This is her layer. Create a new layer on top of it. Make a clipping mask again, and this time I'm gonna use the blue one, a little bit darker. And let's change this to overlay. Okay, this is okay for now. Now let's edit the lighting here. So I'm gonna create a curves layer here and make it darker. Oh, something like this. And make the highlights lighter. Like that. Now I want to do the same with him. Create the curves layer and make them darker. And the highlights lighter. Because they are like in the background, and I want to make them darker than they are. Now let's work on Luke Skywalker here. I'm gonna put him in a folder. Let's disable this for now. And also do some curves here. Make sure to press this so we only affect him. And let's see. Don't want to have him too dark because he's like in the center of attention here. So I'm gonna try to do this instead of that. And this. Now I'm gonna select this mask of it and press some areas lighter because we have lighting coming from there later on behind him. So I want to make sure these areas are light again. Right, let's drop some color from it. I don't like it when there's too much color in this image. When you drop the color, it blends a lot better together, and we can always bring back the color later on. So something like this, a little bit less color. And let's do the same with him. In saturation, select this and drop the color. I forgot to make some area here for the video, so just do that now. All right, this is okay, and also drop some color from her. Let's see, which layer is it? This one. All right, this is fine for now. Now we can work on the lighting. Let's add some lights in the background here. So I'm gonna add some lights here. So I'm gonna create a new layer. Pick something like this as a color. We can even use light blue, but I'm gonna use this for now. I can edit it later on and create some lights here. So I'm gonna make a dot. This will be a light source behind them. Make sure it's behind all these layers, so it's not going over them, but behind them. And let's see, something like this. Now it's too yellowish, so I'm going to press Ctrl U and edit this color now. Okay, also do maybe some blue. Let's see. Let's do a little bit of blue because we have some blue sky here, and I want to make it something like that. All right, now let's create a new layer on top of everything, and this time I'm gonna make the lighting better so it's coming like in front of them. So I'm gonna pick something light blue and make a dot again and change this to screen. So we have like that, and now we can stretch it out so it's coming like in front of him, next to him, whatever it is, and just copy it and put it on the other side. I'm gonna make sure this is in a folder so I can edit this all at once later. Let's duplicate this. We can make another one in the background. Let's see if I put this above these layers and change this to overlay. So we have a little bit of reflection coming from that background on these characters here. I want to make sure this is in the right place. And this one. Okay, it's a little bit too dark in his face, so I'm gonna create another curves layer here. And this time I'm gonna use it for lighter areas, so like that. All right, this is okay already. Now let's make a mask here and get rid of these parts because we only have this light like here and not here. So we have a nice glow now. All right, now we can create some areas around it. So I'm gonna import some photos here. All right, now I found this image that I'm going to use as the floor. So just copy this and paste it here. And I only want to use the bottom part. So let's get rid of this top part. I'm going to select this and just delete it. And now I want to stretch this out. So I'm going to select this bottom part here, press Ctrl T and stretch it like that. So now we have our metal floor or whatever this is. I can try to make this a little bit like that. And just do this again, stretch it out. All right, now we have to edit these colors here. So I'm going to create some curves and make sure I press this. And let's darken this up and lighten up the lighter areas. So it's a little bit darker now. Now we can make some reflections here. Let's create a new layer on top of it and make sure, because we have like this really bluish background, so I'm gonna make sure it's also affecting this floor here. So I'm gonna select something blue, a little bit darker, and brush areas blue. So we have this reflection coming from the background. It's a little bit too much now, so I'm gonna drop this slightly, and let's see if we can change the blending mode here. So color works pretty well always, and I'm gonna leave it like this. And now just maybe brush a little bit more here. So this before and this after. Now we have a nice blue color here. All right, now let's see if we can make this like that. It's a little bit higher. And if I want to add some pieces, I'm just selecting the bottom part and hold down Shift and stretch it out. Now let's create a new layer on top of everything and make more lighting. So select something blue. Make sure the opacity flows back up again. And I want to make sure it's not in this layer group. So I'm going to put it like there and change just the overlay. Duplicate this, move it to the other side. Now let's add some particles. I have this one in the description down below. So if you want to download this, just check the description. It's all free. Make it smart object and let's put it on top all of the layers. Maybe only behind him, but I'm not sure yet. I'm just gonna put it here and change it to screen. So we have some movements going on. Just want to make sure it's not too small because it ends here and I don't want to see where it ends. So need to make this all bigger. I also don't want to ruin the image with it, so I'm gonna make sure it's really black. So I'm pressing Ctrl T or Command T on Mac and select the black picker and make sure. I think my MacBook is going really slow now, like that. All right, this is okay, and I'm gonna make a mask here and select the normal brush again to remove some parts from it, because I don't want to have it in its face. Okay, this is too big. Don't want to ruin the text. Just slightly like that. All right, let's edit the background here. It's too dark now, so I'm gonna go all the way down and select something light blue and make like this. like this glow behind them. All right, now I can just slightly drop the opacity here so we can see a little bit more light. So I'm gonna leave it like this for this one. I don't want to mess with it too much. So I disabled the thunder again. I didn't like it. So I'm gonna leave it like this, and I import this into Lightroom. You can get these presets. It's in the link down below. And we're gonna use this preset and slightly edit this. Oh, this is too much. So I can create some nice lighting here. It's gonna save me a lot of time instead of doing this in Photoshop. So I'm gonna use this one. And this looks okay. A little bit lighter. And export this and open this up in Photoshop again. Right now, so this is the export from Lightroom. I'm gonna put this above all the layers and drop this slightly. And let's do some curves here. So we have this black, really black, and I have this nice lighting in the background. And we can edit the colors here from the curves. So I'm gonna select red here. Edit this a little bit, green. All right, let's not touch green and try blue. It's a little bit like that. And let's not make this too dark. And some color balance here, because it's a little bit too greenish, bluish now. And if this is too dark, I can just drop this, but I think this looks fine. All right, that is it for this one. Don't forget to thumbs up if you like this content, and don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video.